After narrowly escaping the attempted hit on Sofia's life, she and Alethea took refuge in a small, secure location. The tension in the air was palpable as they tried to piece together their next steps. The recent attack had proven that whoever was after them had resources and was willing to go to extreme lengths to eliminate them. Sofia rubbed her temples, the stress of the situation weighing heavily on her. Whoever is behind this has eyes everywhere. We can't trust anyone, Alethea. Not even the agency. Alethea nodded, her expression grim. Agreed. We need to think like them. Anticipate their moves. We're not just dealing with a mole, we're dealing with someone who's got a lot to lose if we uncover the truth. Suddenly, a thought struck Sofia. We were lured to that spot. Someone knew exactly where we would be and when. What if there's more evidence at the scene that could point us in the right direction? Alethea considered this for a moment before nodding. It's a risk, but it might be worth it. If the sniper was sloppy, they could have left something behind. With renewed determination, the two women prepared to return to the site of the ambush, hoping to find a clue that could give them an edge. Sofia and Alethea made their way back to the industrial complex where the ambush had taken place. The early morning light cast long shadows over the deserted area, adding to the eerie silence that surrounded them. As they approached the location where Sofia had been shot with the tranquilizer dart, both women moved cautiously, scanning their surroundings for any signs of movement. Alethea led the way, her instincts guiding her to a higher vantage point where a sniper might have positioned themselves. "This looks like a good spot for a sniper," Alethea said quietly, pointing to a rusted metal scaffolding that overlooked the area where they had been attacked. "Let's check it out." They carefully climbed the structure, keeping their movements slow and deliberate. At the top, they found what they had been looking for, an empty dart casing that indicated someone had fired from that spot. But as Alethea bent down to pick up the casing, Sofia spotted something else nearby. "A dart," Sofia said, pointing to a small, thin object lodged in a crack in the metal. "That's what they used on me. Whoever was here had a clear shot." Alethea examined the dart closely, her brow furrowing. "This is professional grade. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." Sofia nodded, her mind racing. "It's got to be someone with sniper training. Desiree is our team's sniper, but she's been in the hospital. She couldn't have done this." Alethea frowned, a thought striking her. "Desiree is a blonde. But look here." She pointed to a strand of long red hair caught on the edge of the scaffolding. "Whoever was here isn't Desiree. Someone's trying to frame her or at least use her skills to throw us off." Sofia's eyes widened. "Red hair? Who else do we know with red hair?" Alethea thought for a moment, then shook her head. "No one on our current team. But if they've been framing Desiree, they could have planted this to confuse us." Sofia nodded slowly, understanding. "We need to rule out Desiree completely. If she's in the hospital, we can confirm she hasn't left. But this hair, it's a clue. Whoever this is, they're connected to the agency somehow." Back at the hospital, Sofia and Alethea made their way to Desiree's room. They found her resting in bed, her arm in a sling, looking pale but alert. She gave them a weak smile as they entered. "Sofia, Alethea," Desiree greeted them, her voice slightly strained. "What brings you here?" Sofia exchanged a glance with Alethea before speaking. "We've been following up on some leads, Desiree. We need to confirm something with you." Desiree's expression turned serious. "What do you need to know?" Alethea stepped forward. "We need to know if you've left the hospital at any point in the last 24 hours. We found some evidence that suggests someone with your skill set was involved in an attack on Sofia." Desiree's eyes widened in shock. "Me? I haven't left this room since I was admitted. You can check with the staff. I've been on bed rest, and I'm not even cleared to stand up without assistance." Sofia and Alethea exchanged a relieved glance. Desiree's response was genuine, and her condition confirmed that she couldn't have been involved in the attack. "We believe you, Desiree," Sofia said gently. But we had to be sure. Someone's trying to frame you, and we think they might be connected to the agency. Desiree nodded, her face pale but resolute. Whoever it is, I hope you catch them. I hate that they're using my skills and reputation against us. Alethia placed a reassuring hand on Desiree's shoulder. We will. Thanks for your help. Rest up, and we'll keep you updated. With Desiree ruled out, Sofia and Alethia returned to the industrial complex to continue their search. The discovery of the red hair had given them a new lead, but they needed more information to piece together the puzzle. As they climbed back up the scaffolding, Sofia spotted something they had missed earlier. A small piece of cloth snagged on a jagged edge of the metal. Carefully, she pulled it free, revealing a torn piece of dark green fabric, similar to the color of the agency's tactical gear. Alethia examined the fabric closely, her eyes narrowing. This isn't standard issue. It's a custom piece, probably from a modified uniform. Whoever was here had access to agency materials, but wasn't using official gear. Sofia nodded, considering the implications. A rogue agent, or someone with inside knowledge but working off the books. This whole thing is starting to look like an inside job. Alethia's expression was grim. We need to find out who else has access to this kind of gear and who could have a motive to set Desiree up. And that red hair? It's distinctive. Someone will know who it belongs to. Sofia agreed. We need to dig deeper into the agency's personnel files. This isn't just about finding the mole anymore. It's about uncovering a whole network of betrayal. Whoever is behind this, they're playing a dangerous game, and they're not afraid to use lethal force. With renewed determination, Sofia and Alethia collected the evidence they had found and left the scene. The discovery of the dart, the red hair, and the customized gear pointed to a deeper conspiracy within the agency, one that threatened to tear them apart from the inside. But they were not going to let that happen. The hunt for the mole continued, and they would stop at nothing to uncover the truth. Sofia and Alethia returned to the hospital, their minds racing with new information and the undeniable suspicion hanging over them. Desiree had been ruled out as the potential sniper, but now they had more questions than answers. With the dart and the long red hair found at the scene, the identity of the sniper pointed in a shocking direction. Sofia's thoughts churned, wondering how deep the conspiracy ran within the agency. They had no time to waste. With nowhere else to turn, they went straight to Desiree for answers. Sofia and Alethia entered Desiree's hospital room, their faces set with determination. Desiree, still recovering, looked up from her bed, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Sofia, Alethia, Desiree greeted them cautiously. What did you find? Alethia wasted no time, pulling out the strand of long red hair they had discovered at the sniper's vantage point. She handed it to Desiree, her voice steady but urgent. We found this at the scene. We know it wasn't you, Desiree, but we need to figure out who's framing you. Desiree took the strand of hair, her brow furrowing as she examined it. After a moment, her eyes widened in recognition. This matches Alexandra, Desiree said quietly, her voice filled with disbelief. She has red hair like this. Sofia's stomach dropped. Alexandra, the woman who had been abducted by the Black Dawn, the one they had rescued in a high-stakes mission. It didn't make sense, but Sofia had learned not to dismiss any possibility. Alethia's eyes narrowed. Alexandra, are you sure? Desiree nodded, her face pale. Positive. Her hair is the same shade and length. I don't know what's going on, but if her hair was at the scene, we need to figure out why. Sofia took a deep breath, trying to steady her thoughts. We need to find Alexandra. If she's involved, we have to know whether she's being forced or if she's part of this conspiracy. Sofia and Alethia began digging into Alexandra's recent activities, but what they found only deepened the mystery. Alexandra had been off the grid for several days, and none of her usual contacts had seen or heard from her. It was as if she had vanished without a trace. As they followed the trail, Sophia's frustration grew. This doesn't make sense. If Alexandra is being forced into something, she should have reached out to one of us. She knows she can trust the team. Unless she's been silenced, Alethia suggested grimly, either by fear or by force. They continued their search, tracking down old safe houses Alexandra had used and questioning anyone who might have seen her. Days passed, and the lack of leads only added to their growing sense of urgency. Finally, after what felt like an endless chase, they caught a break. A former agency informant in a remote part of the city mentioned seeing Alexandra a few days earlier, looking frantic and nervous. She had asked him for help securing a new identity, something only a desperate person would need. Sofia and Alethia raced to the last location Alexandra had visited, a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of the city. As they approached, Sofia's heart pounded. This could be it, the moment they found out the truth. The warehouse was dark and deserted, but Sofia and Alethia moved cautiously, their weapons drawn. Inside, the sound of soft footsteps caught their attention. A figure emerged from the shadows, and Sofia's breath caught. It was Alexandra. Her usually composed demeanour was gone, replaced with a look of fear and exhaustion. She froze when she saw Sofia and Alethia, her eyes wide with panic. "Alexandra," Sofia said gently, lowering her weapon. "It's okay. We're here to help." Alexandra shook her head, backing away. "You shouldn't have come. It's too dangerous." "Alexandra, we know something's wrong," Alethia said firmly. "We found your hair at the scene of an attack. We know you're involved, but we also know you're not doing this willingly. Who's forcing you? What's going on?" Tears welled in Alexandra's eyes and she sank to her knees, the weight of her fear and guilt finally breaking through. "I didn't want to do this," she whispered. "They're making me. The Black Dawn. They're blackmailing me." Sofia exchanged a glance with Alethia, her heart sinking. "What do they have on you, Alexandra?" Alexandra's voice trembled. "My family. They found out about my younger brother. He's sick, and they threatened to kill him if I didn't cooperate. They forced me to plant evidence, to frame Desiree, to act as their inside agent. I didn't have a choice." Alethia knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Alexandra, we can help you. You're not alone in this, but we need to know everything. Who's giving the orders? Who's running this operation?" Alexandra hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "I don't know who's at the very top, but I know someone high up in the agency is involved. They're pulling the strings. I was told to follow orders and keep quiet, or my family would pay the price." Sofia's mind raced. Someone at the top of the agency. The implications were staggering. The mole wasn't just some rogue agent. They had real power, influence, and the ability to manipulate missions and people like Alexandra. "We'll protect your family, Alexandra," Sofia promised, "but we need more information. Can you give us a name, anything that could help us track down the leader?" Alexandra wiped her eyes, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's a figure. I've never seen them, but they go by the Phantom. They're the one calling the shots for the Black Dawn. I was told to report to someone who worked for them, a high-ranking member of the agency." Sofia's pulse quickened. This was it, the solid lead they had been waiting for. But the mention of someone inside the leadership of the agency working for the Phantom sent chills down her spine. As Sofia and Alethia escorted Alexandra out of the warehouse, their minds reeled with the implications of what they had just learned. A figure known only as the Phantom, an agency leader involved in the conspiracy and Alexandra being used as a pawn. It all pointed to something much bigger than they had imagined. But as they moved through the alleyways, Sofia's instincts flared. She felt the weight of someone watching them, a presence lurking in the shadows. Alethia noticed it too, her hand subtly reaching for her gun. "We're not alone." Without breaking stride, Sofia whispered, "Stay calm. Let's get out of here. But be ready." They picked up their pace, making their way toward a more populated area, but the feeling of being followed didn't go away. Just as they turned a corner, Alethia spun around, her weapon drawn. "Show yourself!" she shouted into the darkness. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a figure stepped out from behind a stack of crates, tall, cloaked in shadows, their face hidden beneath a hood. They didn't say a word, only stood there watching them. Sofia's grip tightened on her gun. "Who are you?" The figure didn't respond, but the air around them seemed to crackle with tension. They turned and disappeared into the darkness, leaving Sofia, Alethia, and Alexandra standing there stunned. "We need to find out who that was," Alethia said, her voice low. "They're part of this. I can feel it." Sofia nodded, her mind racing. "Let's get Alexandra to safety first. Then we start tracking down this phantom." Back at a secure location, Sofia and Alethia worked tirelessly to piece together everything they had learned. The phantom, Alexandra's blackmail, the mysterious watcher. It all pointed to one undeniable truth. The traitor wasn't just an ordinary mole. They were someone with power, someone embedded deep within the leadership of the agency. As more evidence mounted, a chilling realization settled over them. Whoever the traitor was, they had access to high-level intelligence, resources, and the ability to manipulate operations from the inside. This wasn't just about taking down the agency. It was about control, and the Phantom had their sights set on much more than sabotage. Sofia looked at Alethia, her expression grim but resolute. "We're dealing with someone at the top, someone who's been pulling the strings from the beginning." Alethia nodded, her eyes steely. "Then we take the fight to them. We expose the traitor, whoever they are. But we have to be smart about this. If they know we're onto them, they'll come for us." Sofia's resolve hardened. "We've come too far to turn back now. The traitor is in the agency's leadership, and we're going to bring them down." The investigation had taken Sofia and Alethia to the darkest corners of the agency's secrets, and the further they dug, the more complex the web of lies became. What had begun as a hunt for a mole had spiraled into a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of leadership within the agency. But nothing had prepared them for the revelation they were about to uncover. The clues that Alexandra had provided, along with the enigmatic figure known as the Phantom, all pointed to someone deep inside the agency. But after days of chasing leads and dead ends, they stumbled upon something that rocked them to their core. Trinity Shinner, Gunner's personal assistant, the woman believed to have been killed in a mission gone wrong, was not only alive, but was the mastermind behind everything. Sofia sat in stunned silence, staring at the file on her screen. Alethia stood nearby, arms crossed, her jaw clenched. The revelation was too shocking to fully grasp. "Trinity," Sofia whispered, her voice barely audible. "How can this be?" Alethia's eyes were cold, focused on the evidence in front of them. "She's not just alive, Sofia. She's been leading the Black Dawn this entire time. She's the Phantom." Sofia's mind spun, struggling to make sense of it. Trinity had been a friend, a trusted ally. She had been Gunner's assistant, someone who had always seemed humble and loyal. Sofia had mourned her death. The betrayal cut deeper than anything she had experienced before. "It was all an act," Alethia said, her voice thick with anger. "Her kidnapping, her rescue, everything. She staged it so she could infiltrate the agency, gain our trust, and destroy us from the inside." Sofia's heart pounded in her chest as the weight of the truth settled over her. Everything they knew about Trinity had been a lie. She wasn't a victim. She was the architect of their downfall. "We need to find her," Sofia said, her voice shaking with rage, "and we need to stop her." Sofia and Alethia began piecing together the full scope of Trinity's deception. Her backstory, her so-called rescue by Gunner, and her rise within the agency. It had all been orchestrated. She had carefully positioned herself to gain trust, manipulating everyone around her while secretly leading the Black Dawn. As they delved deeper into her past, it became clear that Trinity had been working against the agency for years. She had fed intelligence to the Black Dawn, orchestrated attacks, and even manipulated high-ranking officials within the agency to further her goals. "This goes deeper than we ever imagined," Alethia muttered, flipping through document after document. "Trinity didn't just infiltrate the agency, she built Black Dawn from the ground up. She's been controlling everything." Sophia clenched her fists. "She played us all. She played Gunnar, and she played me." Alethia glanced at Sophia, her voice hardening. "She didn't just betray the agency, she used every single one of us." It didn't take long for Sophia and Alethia to track down Trinity. After weeks of searching and digging through false leads, they found her in a remote, heavily fortified compound. Her true base of operations, where she commanded the Black Dawn. Sophia and Alethia infiltrated the compound, moving silently through the shadows. They had one goal: confront Trinity and stop her before she could execute her final plan. As they moved deeper into the complex, the tension between them grew, the weight of betrayal thick in the air. When they finally reached the central chamber, Sophia's heart pounded in her chest. There, standing before them in the middle of the room, was Trinity. But she wasn't the woman Sophia had once known. She was different now, radiating power and confidence, her dark eyes filled with cold, calculating fury. She had shed the facade of the quiet, humble assistant. Now she stood revealed as the true leader of the Black Dawn. "You found me," Trinity said, her voice dripping with venom. "I was wondering how long it would take." Sophia's hands trembled with anger as she stepped forward, her gun raised. "Why, Trinity? Why did you do this?" Trinity smiled, a cold, cruel smile that sent a shiver down Sophia's spine. "You really don't see it, do you, Sophia? The agency, your precious agency, is corrupt. It's a machine designed to control and oppress. I've spent years dismantling it from within, exposing the truth." Alethia spoke up, her voice filled with disgust. "You killed innocent people. You betrayed everyone who trusted you." Trinity's expression darkened. "The agency deserves to burn for what it's done. You all think you're heroes, but you're nothing more than puppets serving a broken system. I simply used you to get what I needed, to take the agency down." Sophia's heart ached, the weight of Trinity's betrayal crushing her. "You used Gunnar. He saved your life and you repaid him with this?" Trinity's smile faded, replaced by a look of contempt. "Gunnar was a fool. He believed in the same lies as the rest of you. His so-called rescue of me? I orchestrated the entire thing. It was the perfect way to gain your trust, to slip inside and destroy the agency from within." Sophia shook her head, unable to believe what she was hearing. "All this time, everything you said, everything you did, it was all a lie?" Trinity's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "It wasn't a lie, Sophia. It was a strategy. And it worked." Sophia's anger boiled over. She lunged forward, her gun aimed directly at Trinity, but Trinity was faster. With the skill of a seasoned fighter, she deflected Sophia's attack, twisting her arm and sending her weapon flying across the room. Alethia moved to assist, but Trinity was relentless. She fought with precision and brutality, years of planning and hatred fueling her every move. It became clear that Trinity wasn't just a mastermind, she was a deadly force in her own right. Sophia fought back, determination and fury driving her. But as the fight continued, she realized something. Trinity wasn't just fighting for control of the agency. She was fighting for her twisted vision of the world, a world where the agency's power would be toppled and Black Dawn would rise in its place. "You're delusional!" Sophia spat as she dodged one of Trinity's strikes. The agency wasn't perfect, but you've become the monster you claim to hate. Trinity's eyes blazed with rage. The agency made me a monster, Sophia. I'm simply giving them what they deserve. Alethia managed to catch Trinity off guard, knocking her back against the wall. For a brief moment there was silence, broken only by the sound of their laboured breathing. But even as Trinity lay on the floor, defeated, there was a strange calm in her eyes. You may have won this battle, Trinity said softly, a wicked smile on her face. But you'll never stop the war. The Black Dawn will continue with or without me. The agency will fall. It's only a matter of time. Sophia stared down at her, her heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. We'll stop Black Dawn, and we'll make sure the agency stands for something better. Trinity's smile didn't fade. We'll see about that. As they secured Trinity and waited for backup to arrive, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling of devastation that lingered in her heart. Trinity had been someone she trusted, someone she had once considered a friend. To discover that everything had been a lie, that she had been played from the start, was a wound that would take time to heal. Alethia stood beside her, her face hard but determined. We stopped her, but she's right. This isn't over. Sophia nodded, her voice quiet. No, but it's a start. With Trinity captured and the Black Dawn exposed, Sophia knew that the real fight was just beginning. The agency had been infiltrated, corrupted by its own members, and now it was up to her and those she trusted to rebuild it, stronger, better, and free of the shadows that had nearly destroyed it. As the sun began to rise on the horizon, Sophia felt the weight of the coming battles ahead. But she also felt a spark of hope. The phantom had fallen, but the agency would rise.